The puppy was taken back to the shelter for the 7th time. Then the staff found something shocking. Even though he was only 4 years old, Benji was a very strong and beautiful dog, but unlucky for him, he was adopted 7 times. Each time, he was quickly sent back to the shelter with little or no reason. What did Benji do wrong? Why did so many people turn down this poor dog? Anyway, when one worker took him home for the night, she found something shocking that made sense of everything. Beanie was a little dog who was friendly and happy, without a doubt. He was one of the most loving dogs ever. He loved it when people petted and played with him. That's why so many people wanted to adopt him. But every family that took him home would give him back in 3 or 4 weeks. Staff at the shelter didn't understand what went wrong when Benji's family took him home and then sent him back to the shelter. One family said he wasn't a good fit for their home, and another said they had just changed their minds. One family said he was too active for them, and another said he never wanted to do anything or go for walks, and it was hard to handle him. One family even said Benji wasn't nice enough, which was so strange that the staff couldn't believe it. It did not make sense. Benji kept being sent back to the shelter for no clear reason. This dog looked like it would be great for everyone, but families just couldn't get along with him. To find out what was going on, a young student who worked at the shelter offered to take him home and see how he behaved in a place other than the shelter. She had always gotten along with Benji, and she loved to play with him and fuss over him while she worked. She loved how happy and full of energy he was. She also thought he was funny and very cute. It worked out well, so Clara put Benji, who was too excited, in a carrier and carried him to the car. Clara could only smile at how excited he was, but she was really scared about how this would go. Did every family get it right about Benji? Was he too hard to handle? Was he really that different when he wasn't at the shelter? She hoped this wasn't true. Clarissa opened the cage door when she got home and let Benji walk out on his own. She didn't want to push him or make him feel bad, so she left the room to take care of her other pets while Benji got the courage to look around his new home. The little dog slowly started to get out of his cage and look around after about 30 minutes. He began to sniff around and finally made himself at home. He ran around the room and barked happily at everything. Clara knew Benji even back at the shelter. In the end, Clara came back. Maxwell, her old dog, and Lizzie, one of her cats, were following her as she opened the door to the room. Benji changed right away. As he charged at the 2 new animals, he growled and barked loudly. Even though he was only a small dog, he was very scary. Lizzie, the cat, just jumped out of the way, but Maxwell couldn't do that, so he quickly hid behind Clara. Clara quickly led her cat and dog out of the room because she was shocked by the sudden chaos going on around her. It was like magic. Then Benji turned back into the happy, hyperactive dog she knew from the rescue. It was very strange. This was the moment when Clara's thoughts began to make sense. Everyone who had owned Benji before hadn't really given good constant reasons for giving him back, but it's possible that they were hiding the fact that he was dangerous. She promised herself that she would look into this idea as soon as she got to work the next day. But for now, Clara made sure Benji was comfortable by giving him food, water, and blankets. She also double-checked the door 3 times to make sure it was locked. She didn't want any fights to start right away. Thanks to God, everything went smoothly the next morning and Clara went to the shelter to work. As soon as she got there, she opened Benji's file and looked through it to see who had owned him before. At last, she was ready to make sense of things and find out what was going on with Benji. As she called each family, it became very clear all of the places Benji had been had other pets, just as Clara had thought. Because Benji had been mean to the family's other pets, they had no choice but to take him back to the shelter. One thing that was also clear was that no family wanted Benji to get into problems or, even worse, be killed. So they hid the fact that he was violent so that he could find a family that would be a good fit for him. It all finally made sense. Benji kept being sent back all the time, and it kept happening for the same reason. And the best part was that Clara could do something about it. If she trains Benji to be less mean to other pets, she could teach him how to live with other animals in peace and happiness. He might then be able to find a family that will love him, take him in, and keep him forever. The big question, though, was whether or not the training would work. No matter how much time and effort you put into them, dogs don't always change the way they act. Clara really hoped that Benji wasn't one of those dogs and will try to fit in with other animals. She took things slowly at first by putting up a gate so Benji and her pets could see each other. Her pets were very interested, but Benji stayed mean and angry, barking and biting at the gate. For many days, things remained tense between the dog and the other pets, and it seems as if Benji really was just a dog that would forever remain dangerous to other animals. He didn't want them and was angry. But as time went on, he got used to them being there. Clara felt like she was seeing a miracle happen slowly in front of her eyes. During one of the nights, she saw her cat Lizzie sitting in the same room as Benji. He wasn't making a fuss, he was just playing with the ball. Soon, she felt sure enough to open the gate and let Maxwell, her dog, come in and meet Benji again. Benji jumped up when Maxwell walked in because he didn't know what to do. Even though he was used to Maxwell's smell, he still looked a little wary. One good thing about him was that he wasn't acting violently. Did Clara do it? Has she changed Benji so that he was better with other dogs? As she watched Benji walk up to Maxwell, she wasn't sure what to do and stayed very alert. Was he going to attack? What she saw made her heart melt. His tail started to wag when he started to sniff Clara's old dog. The dogs soon got into a good mood and were happily chasing each other around with a ball. There were no signs of threat or violence. The two dogs looked like they had known each other for a very long time. They played and rested on Benji's bed, and then Lizzie, the cat, came up and licked him a few times before rolling up between the two dogs to sleep. Such a nice sight, and Clara was thrilled that her hard work had paid off. It was time for her to give Benji back to the shelter so that he could be adopted again. It was sad. She didn't want to say goodbye. Over the time that Benji stayed with her, Clara grew close to the little dog, and she could tell that he felt the same way about her. He even seemed to like making new friends. Clara then made a big choice. She was the one who would take Benji in and make him feel at home. She couldn't turn him away now because he was already a part of her family. At first, Clara wasn't sure about Benji, but this shows how much love, care, time, and most importantly, training can help. Luckily, Benji became a great dog and now had a family forever. What would you have done if Benji was your dog? Would you send him back to the shelter, or would you try some training? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching.